SuperDawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen Television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back, where we want to look at gratification in exchange for gifts, for marks. It's no new news. If you've gone through the Tertiary institution, all things happened there. But education is very important, and we must begin to look at things that happened around us. I know Nigerians are very brilliant people, and no dull one, I can tell you that. Put a Nigerian student anywhere, he or she will perform. But we must look at some things that are not too healthy for our educational system in Nigeria. Recently, what is making the rounds is a lecturer from the university, Obafemi Awolowo University, where he demanded for sex 5 times precisely. But that's an allegation because we are still waiting to hear from the lecturer. We want to look at this. More students give marks and more students demand for marks. Must you give out your bodies or give gifts or do something for marks? Or must you even entice a lecturer? And in return, must the lecturer accept those things, or must the lecturer now demand for gratification? Well, we have a lecturer in the studios this morning, Opwe Okpala. He's a lecturer from the University of Lagos. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Vera.
Good morning to you, sir.
And Happy New Year.
Yes.
We've not seen this year.
I'm so happy to be back after a long sabbatical.
Okay, good to have you here in the studios. I know it's no news to you right now what is happening, and loads of students are beginning to speak up what is happening in the university. But we're taking a case study from the lecturer, the professor, that demanded from a student 5 times round of sex to get marks. It's trendy. I want you to look at this gratification from students or lecturers. Why has it gotten this bad?
Well, I'll be a liar if I pretend I don't know such a thing happens. Yes, sometimes it happens. But I know that in some universities like where I am, there are a lot of things that are put in place to make sure that such thing doesn't happen. For instance, most courses are being taught by 3 or 4 lecturers, so that even a particular lecturer will control only about 25% of the marks, so that even if you were able to influence that lecturer, his impact in your final grade is not so much. But I wouldn't say it's like that in every other university. Nevertheless, you see, I've read a lot of commentaries. Well, let's take it without, let's assume that what was there happened. I have had a lot of people who say, oh, blame the students, oh, they don't dress properly, they are lazy, they want to ask for marks and all that. You know, my own position is that the person that is an adult in this relationship is the lecturer. It's a student that is weak, that is afraid, can come and ask for anything. You be the adult to set the rules and to make sure the rules are prevail. So if such a thing happens, to me, in any circumstance at all, the lecturer is not the victim is the student. Whether the student was actually trying to entice you, whether the student is actually to induce you, whether the student is trying to, you are supposed to be the adult in that relationship.
So in these cases, in most cases, is it that it's the lecturer that goes to ask for these this gratification, or it's the students that comes?
From my own experience, I know that most of the time it's the students that make the move. They may make the move not necessarily suggesting that you sleep with them, but they make the move that look, or that offer you money. Some will be so daring to offer you money. Some will be so daring to make some suggestions. But then You know, what happens is that, look, I have a need. They may communicate that, look, I have a need, I'm afraid I may fail your course, or I've actually failed. Or maybe I failed to do an assignment or failed to participate in a test. What can we do about it? You know, in that case, somebody can now begin to, if you are an unscrupulous lecturer, you begin to make suggestions. But if you're an upright person, I mean, you state the rules. And if it's something that you can assist, maybe where a station where we can assist, then you can assist as part of your duty.
So you made a statement. You said the victim is always the student.
As far as the way I see it, because the narrative I don't like is that, look, students that don't read their books are the ones who try to law lecturers.
Okay.
I don't take that.
I want to ask this question. If, with what you have said, the lecturer is an adult and is expected that the lecturer does not debase himself into a level where he begins to carry out all this kind of illicit, this terrible act. In a school environment, when this is done, what are the causes of this? What will make a lecturer begin to see his students as someone he can fumble with?
Well, you see, lecturers are human beings. And in as much as there are many good lecturers, there will be also some few bad ones. There are those that are ethical, there are those that are not. Just like you find among judges, among policemen, among lecturers, among journalists. So if you happen to take the ball to the court of somebody who has an unscrupulous person, you will begin to make a demand. But I know I give it to my own institution. Although I'm not trying to.
Of course, I don't expect you to come here and condemn where you work. I don't expect.
Some of these things are in black and white. What is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And measures are taken, like for instance, making sure that one lecturer doesn't control the fate and the entire fate of a student. That tries to reduce it. Although some of these things, even students don't believe it. So, you know, those who will just, even when they control 10 marks, they begin to, oh, look, if you don't see, you know, but then the truth is that it is a problem. And what I tell people is that if you are coming to a university to see lecturers more in the offices than in the classrooms, why not go to Oluwole and get your certificate? Because Oluwole can give you a certificate. It can even be more beautiful
fake one
than what the university will give you. And when you do this, you know, we are lecturers are like, we are custodians of the values and the quality of the certificate we give. So if for any reason this certificate is not based on proper assessment of the work and the students have done and the evidence of his learning, then we are devaluing the certificate of those who actually earned it by giving to those who didn't. And if we see it that way, then we must apply the rules. We must apply the rules.
So what kind of students are we going to be chunking out if you begin to demand for things from your students? What kind of students? So in this case, the professor right now, we're looking at his case. You know, the school has said that they are going to take the kids to the police to handle. But before we look at that end of the police, let's begin to look at what will this do to a student, where some of them cannot talk. I want you to advise some students. You are a lecturer. Some of them doesn't know where to go to. Some of them doesn't even know where the Senate building is, talk less of going to report all of these things. What do you think will happen to such an institution and the student there, where lecturers are now demanding for gratification from students?
Well, I want to also say this. This practice or this aberration is not this aberration is not as widespread as this incident may suggest.
Maybe we'll go on this break and we'll be right back.
SuperDawn, your daily life current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen Television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. We're still with the lecturer from the University of Lagos, Okweopala. He's here with us looking at what this will do to students when you begin to demand for ratification from your students.
Well, I want to say again that it's not as, well, it is not as if every other lecturer does this.
Some lecturers.
I may consider, but then it's a minority. Very minority of the lecturers. And I say that part of the students that fall victim, a good number of them make themselves available because probably they need help. But that's not an excuse anyway, like I've said. However, if any lecturer in the university system will have what they call course advisors.
Yes.
And there are also, I mean, if you have a course advisor, you have a problem, you can talk to your course advisor. If you think for some reason you think your course advisor may not understand you or maybe even the one who wants to do that, then why not? There are other people. If you're a female, you can talk to a female lecturer. There's always an avenue to complain. Because if we don't do this, the society cannot get rid of bad eggs, whether it is in police or anywhere. When certain things happen, the students should have the courage, especially when you have the confidence that you can talk to somebody who can take it up and who will make sure that you get justice.
Okay, sir.
And
like you said, the students are always the victims. Now, most of the students, they have this mindset that all I have to do is to give the lecturer what he wants or what she wants, and I'll come out with a fine result. And at the end of the day, in Nigeria, we understand the economy, we understand that companies just want to employ someone with a good result. So if really that these students are the victims, how are they the victims actually when they are coming out with flying results?
No, what I said is that most of the time, I would prefer to see the student as the victim. Because even when the student is the one who is making the move, who is making the offer, the lecturer is supposed to be an adult. I'm not saying, of course, but a good number of times when lecturers are weak, they don't even think about it. Is the student that suggested, if the student that wants to sleep. But then, you know, what I'm saying is that for the lecturer, it's not an excuse that this student is the one who is offering, who is even seducing me. It is not an excuse because you are supposed to be the adult. You are supposed to be the custodian of the values. You are the one who has been asked to take charge of this. And you are the one who will make sure that the values you don't devalue the situation, you don't dilute the certificate.
Okay, so, because I know that it's not just giving your bodies, it's not just the girls and the lecturers. Monies take place, monies change hands in universities. And we also have where some lecturers, instead of taking you, go and Google this course, go and get more information, go and do research, they quickly get handouts and you're paying a lot for it. They quickly get their textbooks and you're paying a lot of it, trying to generate from some students that cannot even feed well. So how can we really begin to look at all of these things that people demand for?
Well, some of these things are not exactly true. I know that in most universities, including the university where I am, you cannot say handout. A good number of lecturers also produce their notes and give students, if you like, you can copy in hand, and maybe produce the questions so that they can solve in class, like myself. I produce my questions and I give the class rep or class governor. If you like, you go and make photocopy yourself. If you like, you can borrow from somebody and copy in long hands and copy. But then, just to reduce the time you use in solving, the time for engagement in class. Yeah, and even the books, those who have written books and you want to sell your books, I mean, the standard practice is that you supply your book to the library. The student goes to the library to buy. You know, anybody who is doing something different is doing something that is not permitted by the school, and is very, I can see the compliance level, especially where I am, is very, very high.
So what should the university be doing now?
The issue of people saying, oh, the lecturers make money by selling handouts, it's not true.
Textbooks and money,
at least in
and
most,
handouts.
Yeah, textbooks. There are those who say directly to students they are breaking the law, and the lecturers no.
Okay, how can we begin to monitor these lecturers, or what can institutions begin to put in place? Because you said your institutions, with the structures that is in place, this cannot happen because of structures. So we're looking at other schools that doesn't have such structures. What do you think they need to do right now?
No, they should borrow from those who have implemented the system that is working.
What kind of
Even
structures?
though the system can still be beaten. I can't say that a lecturer, somebody may write a book and still insist in selling from hand to hand and then demand that everybody buys. It may still happen. But then the thing is that during the orientation, students are told what is, the power they have, what the system is. As lecturers should not be selling the book directly. You can go and buy it from the library. If I write a book, I send it to the library. I recommend it to my students. They go to the library and buy. I don't have to come to my offices to buy my books. So, these are that's the rule that is set up there, just to make sure that, that contact and you reduce unnecessary contact, unnecessary contact with students that may lead to exploitation. And the handout completely is banned. Nobody can sell handout. If you write a good book, put it up in the library. And students are made aware of this. Their governors are aware, their leaders are aware, and then if there is anybody who is violating it, I will also expect that the students should do the system a favor by saying, look, this thing is happening, contrary to what you told us.
That is more like on the open door. Yes. That is outdoor, the handouts, the selling of the handouts. It's more like something that happens. When it happens, it just happens. But when you come to the aspect of girls or guys selling out their bodies, it happens in secret, and most times these ladies have no one to talk to because of that shame or stigma or stereotype which they feel might come into place. My question is this: what sort of disciplinary committee or structure can be put in place to curb this situation? Because this thing doesn't happen.
Okay. Looking at it, to add to that, what can we begin to do to our children at home as they are advancing in life? Because these are the kind of challenges they might face in our institutions.
The truth is that 98% of those who fall victim, or those who present themselves, because in as much as I want to view them as victims, it's not all of them that are really innocent. Some of them will keep pressuring the lecturer, and probably if he's a very weak one, he will fall. Now, first, read their books. Believe in your ability to do things. The power that belongs to you, don't give it to me. I tell my students, the power that belongs to you to have your A, don't come and give it to me as if I'm the one who will award you an A. And in most cases, I don't have that plan. I'd have no power because there's no course I teach alone. I teach with 2-3 other lecturers. So even if you persuade me and probably I will contribute to 25%, 30% of your total score. And so if most students, if you are a good student and you work hard, you can earn. And moreover, you see, there is what they don't also know that when the results come, we compare. We sit in a board and compare all results. If somebody is making A, make 5 A's and have 1 D or 1 F. I mean, most people will ask questions, how come in all the courses this person is having A, in this one he has an F? And it has happened several times where I am, and we ask, please, let's look into let's ask 2 or 3 committee of 3 to look into this. So there are systems that are in place to correct this.
So we must put system in place.
Yes.
Then the question now is, how do we encourage students that falls into these victims, into the hands of this kind of lecturers? What can they do in school? Where do they go to? Who do they talk with?
Students, immediately you get into it, you have what they call course advisor. That is like locus parentis. It's like a parent that is in school.
Yes.
You complain, academic problem, other problems you have. Besides, there are also other people other lecturers that you know, imagine that can be upright, you can get them. And the most important thing is speak out. If you think you are being victimized, speak out. But you know why most of them don't do that? Because they are also, their hands are not equally clean. They are looking for favor. And they would rather get that favor, even though they may not want to, pay the kind of price that is being demanded of them. But they want the favor anyway. So at the end of the day, we say, okay, let me make it as a sacrifice. But if you are sure of yourself, whoever makes these advances, whoever makes this, complain to your course advisor. If your course advisor doesn't listen, complain to somebody else. And there are also authorities up the chain. And in most institutions like the one I'm very familiar with, there is ethics, code of ethics that we're supposed to subscribe to. There are certain things we ought not to do with our lecturers, with our students. There are certain things we ought not to do with our colleagues, especially in terms of. So I assume that students and also the students' bodies, the students' union, if you cannot take it up as individual students cannot take it up, let them complain to the union and let the union write a complaint to the authorities for the authorities to take place. If you think that, as an individual.
There are schools where the unions are not that strong
effective.
They're not effective. Take, for instance, the school, University of Lagos, where the student union there, I wouldn't say they are as
vibrant. When I mean students union, it's not just the umbrella students union in the whole university. There is departmental unions, there are faculty associations. You can lay your complaint. Sometimes when we are weak individually, the union makes us strong. Do you get it? When a particular student may fear, and it has happened in my own case where the students have to take up a matter that concerns a particular students who were fearing that if they come directly, they will be victimized. Okay,
I'm going to hold you on there briefly. We'll just take this call, and it might be just the last call. Hello, good morning to you.
Yeah, this is Chima from Surulere.
Okay, Chima.
Please, my own contribution is this. Information for anything we do in life is key. I think I agree with the lecturer, that's my brother lecturer there, about the information, passing of information. But people don't know even where to go. When they enter the opposition or whatever, so the only thing that they know is information. So if they are having problems, we have to go, we have to pass their city, the end of the you ask them, you know the name of the head of department or this or that, they don't. So maybe the institution should find me and communicate, passing that information to them. So that if they know that when you are having this problem, where to go, you are having this, where to go. So that's not my own contribution.
Thank you so much. They don't know where to go, where to turn to. But we're rounding off now. In this case of this professor, what do you think they need to do?
Well, I think the university
to claim the university's name and also to serve as deterrent. What do you think they need to do?
Well, first and foremost, although it appears apparent, it appears, no matter how it seems, there is still need for investigation, because it's important that...
It's an allegation anyway.
It's still an allegation. It's important to make sure that what is alleged to have happened actually happened. And if it has happened, I believe that the university authorities should take serious measure, not only to punish the lecturer and anybody who may have collaborated with him, but subsequently to strengthen their systems and create a system that will help make sure that students have where to report and that they can dictate some of these things as soon as possible if they ever happened, and assure students that, look, this cannot be tolerated, and the university cannot spare any lecturer, cannot spare any staff that may want to do this. It is not part of what we preach. It's an aberration, and therefore it's not part of us. And even it is important to also make sure that the student does not feel that in no way should the student be victimized. Even if he has committed some errors, it's important that the student should be protected, and the authorities should watch that student until she graduates.
Yeah, I want to say thank you. My first cousin had issues, went to Senate after many years without releasing this result. At the end of the day, they had to release the result. He had an issue with a lecturer, but he's a male cousin, but he had an issue with the lecturer, but he was found not guilty, and they had to release his certificate. But I think that's the way to go. If
in that case, if a lecturer, whether male or female, whatever, you cause a student to lose 1 year or 6 months,
this was over
6 months of his life for no fault of his own, the lecturer should be punished. It's not just enough to release the result after 1 year. As far as I'm concerned, it's not enough to release the result after 1 year. You should pay a price, because taking 6 months or 1 year out of someone's life, it's not something you can just do with levity. I
want to say thank you to Okpala from the University of Lagos, a lecturer. Thank you for coming on this edition of the program. We'll invite you more, because the case is still on, and I'm not going to allow that case go. We're going to dig deep into that case. We'll see the end of that case. Thank you so much for coming on this edition.
Thank you very much.
Well, that is where we end this segment. Up next is SuperDawn Sports. We'll be back.